Okay. So you go to leave, and it's pretty late at night at this point. Zag and Omar are with you and are both a little tipsy. And you're passing through the pretty empty streets of the city, and it's not too far of a walk back to your temple. But before you get there, from a dark alley, you hear the shout of a very drunk and angry Darduk as he yells out, "It was a pretty cheap hit. That was a pretty cheap hit, Maolog. You can't just embarrass me like that in front of people. I mean something. I'm important to my people." And he's kind of like stumbling out into the street towards you.
Okay. Can I check to see if he has anyone else with him, or if it's just
it's the two stupid goons from before.
Okay. And in the fight against Dart, was it just me squaring up against Dart?
Yeah, it was like a one-on-one thing.
Okay, but the other two didn't fight each other, right?
They're I'll describe them. They're two, they're not remarkable in any way. They're kind of like these two sort of scrawny dudes who sort of follow him around, and you can kind of tell that like on their own they're probably not all that impressive, and they're kind of like in the wings of Darduk, sort of there to be kind of his hype men and not basically get picked on by him. You can surmise, but they're they're there alongside him, also pretty drunk.
Okay, and I'm by myself, right?
You're there with Omar and Zag.
Okay. So I'm gonna assume from all this that if push comes to shove and we have to fight them, that we can take them. But I don't want to fight him. I've already won in the public arena. There's no need for me to fight him in a private affair when he's already drunk. Is there any chance that I'm going to be able to get away without a fight?
You could attempt to reason with him. There will be rolls associated with that.
Yeah, and I have no charisma.
Okay. So what do you like? So let's just start with this. What do you say? Like he's approaching you. He's violent. He's spitting. He's pretty pissed.
Right. Okay. Well, let's see. Well, Darduk, you came to our party. Unfortunately for you, you weren't able to stand up on the two legs you have, and I think you are even less likely to do so now.
I will give you an opportunity to roll an intimidation check if you meant that to, like, potentially tell him off.
Yeah, we might as well. It was a little bit of that.
Yeah,
so
like you're either straight. Okay, so 12. With a 12, he kind of like laughs to himself and he goes, "Well, we're here now," and he gives you a push. And when he does it, he pushes you. He puts his hands on you, and it feels weird. It feels like way more powerful than just like a little push should. And when he does it, roll me a perception check. Oh, Jesus Christ, you are really bad at rolling.
I used all my good rolls on my goddamn stats.
It just seems like this like unnatural power that kind of pushes you back, and it doesn't like knock you down or anything, but like you definitely take a seat, like you take a step back.
Mm-hmm. From what I would presume to be just kind of like a light shove.
Oh yeah,
it actually forces me to step back. Okay. In that case, I notice at least that something is amiss. And I've already taken him before, but he's coming out and he's attacking me outside where there's no one else around. He feels like he's got something a little bit more to him than he did before.
He's also wasted.
He's very drunk, and that's very clear.
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to I'm going to look at Omar and Zag, and I'm going to give a very slight nod. I'm going to try to do it without Darduk or his friends noticing exactly what I'm doing. And we're going to initiate a fight here and now.
So roll initiative for me. All right. So Darduk kind of like sees you motion towards your friends, and Omar like catches your eye, and he starts violently shaking his head like, no, I don't want to fight. I'm not gonna fight. Don't put me in. But like Zag is super scrappy. He's all about it. But Darju kind of puts his hand on your shoulder and says, let's not bring our friends into this. This is between you and me. And he kind of like pushes off against you, and you are now in a fight. So he is actually going to get the first swing at you as he rolled his initiative higher. And he is going to just take a swing at you. Does a 17 hit your armor class?
It's equal.
Okay. So he meets, and he just like it's not a very convincing strike, but he does manage to get like one solid thud on you. And he is going to do 6 points of damage to you. And he kind of like just guts you right in the stomach with like this really solid punch. And it is now your turn. And as you're kind of reeling from this punch, you notice that like dude's eyes are like purple.
Okay. So I don't know if this is allowed, but I would like to tell, or would this take an action if I told Zag to go back to the party? How far away are we from the party at this point? We're not very far. Right?
It was like 10 minutes between your the bar and your temple, and you're at like the 5-minute mark. You're about halfway.
Okay, halfway. I don't want him to leave.
That if you were to do something like that, it would be a free action.
Okay, so I could do it. I'm going to tell Omar to take off for the bar and let them know what's going on. As a free action.
Okay, so you say that, and like without even blinking an eye, he kind of books off in one direction.
Okay. I don't really care which direction. I'm assuming towards the bar, though.
He went off. He ran just away. You're not like you're in sure combat right now, so you're pretty focused on that.
Okay. All right. So he ran, and then I'm going to initiate attack onto Darduk.
Okay.
So I'll roll just Dex. Or no, do I roll unarmed strike?
Yep. All right, that's a hit for sure.
So I rolled 19.
Which is a hit.
My damage is 7.
Okay, so you kind of deck him in the face, and he he takes that pretty well. He's pretty drunk, so you can't quite tell if he's just woozy or what's going on. But that is your attack. Now, as a monk in level 1, you do have the ability to do a second attack as a bonus action if it's an unarmed strike.
Okay, then let's go ahead and roll again. 23.
That is a hit.
Okay, and then for damage, it's another 7.
Okay, so with one punch to the sort of jaw, you swing, and with the back of your elbow, you kind of, get him right under the chin, and his purple, eyes just glow super bright and then cut out to normal. And he goes down pretty damn hard. He hits the ground and appears to be entirely unconscious as you stand over him in victory. You've knocked out Darduke for real this time, and Zag kind of pops up behind you and is like, "Yeah, that's what you get." And the two people that Darduke came with sort of pick him up and are trying to fan him awake, and realizing it's not going to happen right now, start dragging him off into the alley which they came.
Okay. I guess we should probably go try and figure out what the hell happened to Omar.
Okay. So you're in what is a very bustling city normally. So there's lots of alleyways and roads going in different directions. The path from the restaurant to your temple isn't a straight one necessarily. It's filled with turns and corners, ones that you know very well from growing up in the city for the majority of your life. But one path ahead of you leads back to the temple, and the other path behind you heads back to the restaurant.
Okay. Let's just go down the path towards the restaurant a little bit to see if we can catch him. Actually, let's peek our heads into the restaurant just in case.
All right, so you head back towards the restaurant?
Yeah.
All right, so you don't get far before you hear the sound of hurling a little bit and heaving. And you follow up towards the sound, and you see Omar just puking in an alleyway. And he raises his head up as someone approaches and sees that you're there and overall pretty well together. Is just absolutely delighted. And then he immediately continues to puke and throw up. So
okay.
Zag kind of walks over to Omar and starts rubbing him on the back, and he's he looks up at you and says, "Maolog, why don't you get home? I don't think those guys are going to give you any more trouble tonight. I'll take care of this big lummox."
Okay.
He pats him on the back.
All right. Thanks, Zag. I appreciate it. And I'll head back home.
All right, cool. The rest of your trip is uneventful. The temple the temple is quite the scene right now. There are people milling about, people passed out drunk everywhere. There are lots of people still filing in from the party in different capacities, but you can make your way towards your room and kind of get settled in and crash for the night if that's what you want to do.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay. So we'll kind of fast forward to the morning. Are you going to want to stray from the path that Aurelian laid out for you at all?
Not at this point, although, yeah, because the vendor's not open, so I can't follow up on that. They won't be open until next week. I would like to eventually ask him about the purple eyes, but this doesn't seem like an appropriate time. So let's just, we'll go along with what he wants to do, and I'll set out to the Coliseum with him if that's what happens next.
Okay, cool. So you are at the Coliseum now. You know that there is a training area kind of under the whole Coliseum where the people prepare for their bouts and kind of stage. You know that there's training areas there, and much to your satisfaction, Aurelian is there with Denon, and he's prepared some training exercises for you. So he kind of looks at you and says, "Oh, that was quite the night. How are you feeling?"
Let's see. Well, it was a very eventful evening and night, and hopefully I'm well rested enough to tackle this course or tackle these exercises.
Well, that's good to hear. One who can square off against the best of the Undying, and he kind of gives you a wink, should be able to handle these training courses just as well as any other. Now, you know the tenets of our order. Never show strength in your first hand, never make a predictable move, and always to have faith. These 3 tenets will be tested here today as we train. So the 3 of you sort of ascend up into the main area of the floor of the combat arena. It's actually your first time standing in there. Usually you would practice back at the temple, but like having the opportunity to train in the Colosseum is both a great honor and something you've never been able to do before. So as you're taking in the sort of splendor of the entirety of the Colosseum as it surrounds you, Aurelian stands in between you and Denon, who is sort of at attention, doing the standard pose of the grapple, awaiting Aurelian's instruction. And Aurelian says to you, "Now, the first tenet of our order is to never show strength in your first hand. You must always, always hit harder the second time and on your second stretch than you can in your first. This leaves your opponent dazed and confused and always underestimating your true abilities. I want you to strike Denon in his left hand and then again in his right with more force." So okay. I'm going to have you roll 2 attack rolls. The first to hit his hand, the second to hit it harder. Oof. First is a crit fail.
There's the first one.
Okay. And roll the second. Okay, perfect.
Oh, much better.
So you approach Denon, who's standing full at attention. He's fully willing to accept these blows. And you go to square off and go to strike his first hand, but you actually miss. And you miss so bad that you really put your weight behind it, and you fall like absolutely face first. But with your crit fail. With your second strike, however, your foot kicks up as you're falling, and you friggin' crush Denon's right hand as you kick it. And he actually reacts to that a little bit, and it is a bit taken aback. Aurelian is dying laughing. And he says, "Very well done, Maolog. A bit risky exposing your belly there, but I don't even think Denon saw that coming. I am impressed.
Awesome. I don't know if I want to respond to that. I'll just give him like a little like grin that's like, yeah, I meant to do that, but I didn't mean to do that, but I meant to do that.
This is so for this next test. You must never have your enemy be able to predict your move. He must always be questioning what next strike you will make and where you will be. If he can't know where you will be, he very likely can't hit you. I would like Denon to make a strike at you with his hand, and I want you to attempt to dodge it. So Denon, like, he's got this really crazy ass look in his eye. He's not super thrilled at the idea of getting just bopped by you through your hand. So he's gonna come at you, not heavy-handed, but like he's coming for you. Let's see. So I'm gonna have you contest his strike with an acrobatics check, and I'm gonna roll his strength.
Okay, so I rolled an 18.
Ooh, and he rolled a 14. So he goes to just kind of like brute strike you, and goes straight for your chest. And just as soon, what are you gonna do? So he's coming at you straight on punch. How are you moving?
I'm going to just barely sidestep it inside so that we're facing chest to chest, and I'm just going to give him a light tap with my hand against his chest.
So you very quickly move into the punch, and saddle up right next to Denon and just give him just like this the faintest, almost brisk tap, and spin out of the way as the dwarf continues to roll forward. And Aurelian is practically on the ground at this point, dying laughing. He is thoroughly impressed. He says, "This is fantastic. Denon, are you getting a little sloppy in your old age?" Denon's brow kind of furrows. And as Aurelian begins to say, prepare you for the next trial, Denon's brow furrows a little bit and gets quite a serious look on his face. He is sort of staring off into, past Aurelian and up towards the sky. As your gaze meets his, and you overlook, towards the direction of what he's looking at, you notice there is smoke coming up from the city, which is not regular at all. And noticing your attention entirely gone, as well as Denon's, Aurelian casts his gaze in that direction as well, and immediately snaps to attention and says, "That's coming from the direction of the temple," and begins to sprint out of the Colosseum.
Okay. I would like to follow him.
Okay. So the three of you storm out of the Colosseum as quickly as your feet will carry you, and much to your horror, you realize that your temple is actually burning. You can see from the distance that you're at, there's a fire, there's smoke pouring out of the building, and there seems to be quite the commotion going on in the entryway. As you approach, you notice that your temple is actually under attack. Aurelian turns to you and with a very serious look on his face says, "Maolog, this is serious. I don't know what's going on, who's attacking us or what's happening, but I must go safeguard our order. I need you to get into the basement and go and recover our relic. Do you remember what the relic is?" You remember the your order holds a few artifacts, sort of as a part of the history of your order. Yours is a amulet that is kept behind plate glass. You're shown it when you first, kind of came to the order and decided this is what you wanted to join, but don't normally get to see it otherwise. So he looks at you and says, "I need you to get into the basement recover our holy relic that must be kept safe. I don't know if that's what they're here for, but we need answers. I'm going to help safeguard the people. Can you do this?
Yes, absolutely, Master.
Okay. So the three of you sort of approach near towards the entrance, and there are lots of ways into the temple. You happen to know that the best way for you to go is in through a side entrance, through these gardens, and down in towards the building itself, where you would be able to get pretty easy access to your basement. Denon and Aurelian are going to, kind of weapons out. In Denon's case, it's a long maul, absolutely massive, almost the size of the dwarf himself. And of course, in Aurelian's case, he's going in, claws out, hands out. So you sweep around towards the back, and you are in sort of the garden area. I'll give you kind of the layout of what you're looking at. You're sort of the temple is this center structure. It's a very very wide and long U-shaped building. You are in these side gardens where you're in like an everyday normal day, people would be kind of meditating there, relaxing there. There's a side entrance that pours out onto the street for people to come and go if they please. But this is sort of the quickest way to enter into the building and then get right down into the basement. All over these gardens, there are members of your organization squaring off against other people. What are you doing?
I'd like to continue running towards the basement, but I would also like to glance out and see if I recognize specifically my two friends engaged in combat, Omar and Zag.
Okay, give me a perception check as you just kind of look around the battlefield, really.
I rolled a 15.
Okay. With the 15, you don't see Omar or Zag. However, you do notice that these are members of the Undying, the Way of the Undying, the Order of the Undying, who seem to be attacking your temple.
Okay. I'm going to continue running towards the basement because that's the charge I was given.
Okay. I'm going to need you to... I'll give you two options. There are going to be groups of people in your way, some who are fighting, others who are running about. You can either make an athletics check to kind of plow through the group and attempt to force your way towards the basement, or a stealth check to sort of nimbly make your way through without being detected.
Is there a way for me to make my way through while still assisting my comrades?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I would like to essentially move stealthily towards my goal while also inflicting damage as I pass by groups engaged in combat already. Okay.
How much are you looking to assist? There's about, I'll say you can, as you enter in and as you sort of surveyed the area, you're making your way towards the basement, and in front of you are probably about 3 groups of people squaring off against each other. And it looks like they've been going at it for quite some time. They're in sort of the gardens area and aren't immediately in the way of your objective, but otherwise, are engaged in their own battle. You can either choose to assist or move on.
Okay. What are the numbers from each side?
Oh, it's a 3. It's a 1-on-1 3 times.
3 times.
Even matchup.
Okay. I would like to attack the nearest one-on-one enemy.
Okay, so go ahead and make an attack roll.
I got a 26 crit.
Ooh, crit strike.
Yeah.
So, man, you've had some pretty shitty rolls, but where it matters, you're coming through. It's the faith. You're having your golden age.
Exactly.
So you step into this courtyard, and the closest group to you are these two who are squaring off from each other, and you just kind of come up behind the first Undying guy you see. And the member of the Hunhi who's squaring off with him kind of notices you there, and the two of you sort of punch this dude like just together from either side of his head, and he just drops straight out onto the ground, flat out. He's knocked out. Your boy is freed up, and he kind of gives you like a respectful nod and rushes off to go and help his fellow people. So, one guy is down, the other one is assisting, the other two, and the fight is starting to turn in the favor of your people.
Okay. And then I think I've done, a good enough job at that point, and I'm going to continue on my way.
Okay. So you get into the building. You're kind of in this long hallway at this point. At the end of this hallway is where the entrance to the basement is. There's nobody here quite yet. So it seems rather calm.
Okay. Then I'm just going to take off straight for the basement itself. So run through the hallway.
Okay. Give me a dexterity saving throw.
I rolled 21.
All right. So you're running down this hallway, and from a doorway or an entranceway off to a different hallway, as you're going by, a member of the Undying sort of jumps out and attempts to tackle you along the way. But seeing him coming, you are able to sort of quickly dodge out of the way, and he sort of tumbles onto the ground and crashes in place. You can you're on the other side of him since he missed. You can either continue on your way or stop to engage him.
Let's go ahead and stop to engage him.
Okay. So he's going to square up against you, since you still have the drop on him, and he kind of is on the ground. You can make an attack with advantage to kind of just give him the 1-2.
All right, let's see. So I rolled 10, 13.
Okay. So that's a 13. You always take your highest when it's advantage. So you kind of get a decent blow on him. What do you roll for damage?
I roll 8.
Okay. And do you want to use your bonus attack as well?
I absolutely will, so I'll roll again. So I got 19, 22.
All right. So the first swing you had advantage on because it was kind of your first hit. The second swing, you kind of follow up with it immediately, and you just kind of knock this guy out. You give him a swift, punch while he's down, and then a kick in the chest, and he rolls over, and he's just entirely knocked out. Seemingly, there is nothing in between you and the basement at this point.
Okay, I'm going to keep running towards it, but I'm also going to be keeping an eye out for anyone else jumping out of hallways.
Okay, it's a pretty short distance, and you actually make it to the top of the stairs. Now, you've been down to the reliquary once. You know that the door at the bottom of the stairs is always locked, but when you do go in there, it's just a small chamber with the relic in it. It's not a particularly massive area. But you step in and you notice that the door is completely blown off and is on the floor into the room. And you can't quite see into the room yet because you're still pretty high up, but someone has definitely been in there. You just can't see what's going on quite yet.
Okay. I'm going to try to sneak into the room without alerting anyone who might be in there.
Okay. So go ahead and give me a stealth check.
Okay. And I roll a 13.
Okay. So with the 13, you are able to sort of creep down the stairs. And as you enter the room, you're sort of taken aback again by its splendor. This is where the wealth of your order is kept. All of the funds and assets that aren't, the physical building or a consumable in some sort. Anything of value is usually kept in this room, and it's very, very ornamental in its composure. It's filled with images of previous masters, and there are chests and display cases and all of these old sort of relics of the past, but your charge is kept within this special case that is sealed off. It is the amulet that the original master sort of poured his essence into, and when he created the original tenets of your order, and it's sort of the feature piece of who you guys are and what you represent. It's the thing that is of most value to your people, and in front of it is something you've never quite seen before. Sort of digging through all of the chests and cases, looking for anything of value, is this hulking man, seemingly bursting out of his own clothing, and much to your horror, has these very odd, almost tentacle-like growths coming out from either arm, sort of almost running in, weaving around his arms, and sort of feeling around for themselves as he goes through, the valuables of your order. So he has his back to you. He hasn't quite noticed that you're there yet.
Okay. Where is the relic relative to where I am and where he is?
You are about the room is about 50 feet in its entire diameter and is a square. You are right at the bottom of the stairs, so you are 50 feet away from him, and he is right towards the back wall, right in front of the amulet. He is not currently engaged with the amulet. There's like chests and cases everywhere that he's sort of pillaging his way through.
Okay. I think Maolog has the wisdom to not engage an enemy that looks as overpowering as this one, especially one who can crush down the door at the front. I would like to continue to stealth my way as close as possible before he notices me.
Okay. So your move speed is 35, so with one stealth check, you can get into range to perform a surprise attack on him, which will grant you advantage.
Okay. So let's go ahead and roll. I got a 17.
Okay. So you manage to approach him, and you have his attention is drawn elsewhere. You have the jump on him.
How long are the tentacles?
They are the length of his arm at the moment. They're kind of like, you can tell that they're not like fully extended at this point, because they're sort of like they're sort of attached to his center frame, but they're sort of curling and wrapping around his arms at the moment.
Okay. So I am currently 15 feet
roughly
away from him, and 15 feet essentially roughly away from the amulet, correct?
Yes.
How heavy is the amulet?
It's like a little pendant.
Okay.
In the symbol of your people. It's a silver necklace with a pendant in the shape of your, the sigil of your order, and it's laden with a light blue sapphire, just completely, decked out in these things.
Okay. And then it's next to the chalice that has the essence of the former, or is that thing the...
It's like that is
it. Okay.
Yeah, it is it.
I wasn't understanding that part. Okay, perfect.
Oh, sorry.
No, that was my fault. Okay, so I can move 35. I would like to get around him or over him using acrobatics, if possible. Grab the amulet and then run away. Is that possible within this?
Yeah, so he is like immediately in your way. Like he's directly in front of the amulet. So for you to achieve this, you're going to need a pretty damn good roll. You're going to need to jump over him, which is possible, land on, the series of chests and cases, which is also possible. You surmise that he's going to he's definitely going to notice you doing this. And he is going to probably get a good chance on getting at you, but you might be able to sneak out.
Okay. In that case, if I don't think I've been able to tear through his allies, but he's also been able to make it all the way here and crush down the door. I don't like my chances if he gets a hold of me. I think we might want to engage on him. If I can engage on him and maybe draw him away from the amulet and then move towards it, when he's not as close, I probably have the best chance of getting out. So let's go ahead, and since I still have the drop on him, we'll attack him directly.
All right. Go ahead and do an attack with advantage. That's probably how like a normal stealth attack, like a sneak attack, I don't think that's how that works exactly, but in this instance where like you're not particularly proficient at stealth, like you're just, you were able to sneak into this room and you're going to be able to get a good solid strike on him. So, you'll get your best chance that you have, but not like you're not adept at making it do more damage because it was stealthy.
Okay, fair enough.
If that makes sense.
So we go with the initiative one?
For the first
for the
one,
advantage? Yeah. Okay, so I rolled a 26 then with a crit. And then that's 8 for damage. And then I'll roll the second one, which is 21, 16, and 5 for damage.
Okay. So, you kind of sneak up on this guy and noticing that he put, he was starting to glance his hand towards the amulet. You act quickly and you deck right under his arm as he goes to reach for it, which causes him to quickly rack in pain as you get the sensitive part right under the arm. And then in an immediate reaction afterwards, you sort of try to kick out his leg. He, in reaction, takes the hit, but immediately spins around and faces you. And to your horror, you stand before Darduk, but not the same Darduk you faced on the streets or in the restaurant. The purple eyes that you saw at night are there now, and they're as bright and as purple as ever, but it's almost bleeding out. Purple runs down his face, almost as if it was tears. His tentacles are now sort of flexing and continuing to curl around his arms, and he looks at you and goes, "Oh, this is too perfect. After I break your body, I'm gonna steal everything your order has and burn it to the ground. And I'm gonna need you to roll initiative."
All right, here we go. Oh shit, 5.
So you got a 5, which is a crit fail, I'm going to assume?
Yes, it is.
You have a very good initiative. Like, +4 is great for
I
that.
lose almost I've noticed every time it's a same roll for, like, the same stat or whatever, I have a higher, like, number, but I always roll lower.
Yeah. So he's got the drop on you on this one. Luckily, like, a crit fail for an initiative doesn't mean anything. It just means you go absolutely last. And he is, drunk in his own power. He's going to attempt to use one of the tentacles to kind of swipe out at you. So does a 11 hit your armor class?
No, it does not. I have 17.
Okay. So he kind of takes this clumsy swing at you, to attempt to hit you with one of his tentacles, but you sort of deftly move out of the way, and so he takes a swipe at you, and you dodge out of the way, and he kind of laughs and says, "You're quick, but maybe this time I don't need to face you one-on-one." And you can kind of see him sort of like, sort of convulse a little bit as another tentacle sort of pops up out of the ground. It looks a bit like the one that's attached to his arm, but at this current time is free on the ground, and that is going to pop up right next to him.
Okay. So we're face to face, essentially, and now he's got a tentacle right next to him.
Yep.
Okay.
So this tentacle sort of pops up out of the ground, and we are at the top of the order. It's your turn.
Okay. I am going to... Let's see here. His own attack didn't do so much to me. I'm going to try and... which would be better? Let's engage on the ad. Let's engage on the tentacle.
Okay.
Because he seems to think it's going to be a tide turner. So I'm going to attack the tentacle.
All right. Roll an attack.
21.
That's
and
a hit.
8.
So you sort of just, like, you see this tentacle sort of coming out from the ground, and you just sort of immediately react to it by kicking it as it tries to move towards your leg, and you manage to kick it and uproot it, and it just pulls straight out from the ground and lands on the ground with a thud and begins to dissolve back into the ground from where it came.
Okay. Can I do a bonus against him?
Yeah, you totally can.
Okay, cool. Then I'm going to do a bonus attack against him. I got 22 and 8.
Oh, you do a ton of damage. All right. So he kind of, takes the heave of your attack and shakes it off a little bit. Some of the purple goop is coming out of his mouth now, and he squares you up and is taking you quite seriously at this point, and looks to be getting pretty angry. He is going to raise sort of his massive hand and strike down on you. Does a 16 hit?
No.
Oh, he's fucking terrible. Missing the first, he swings around with his other hand and tries to bat you out of the way. He rolled a fucking 8. Oh my god, it's such a bad rolls. So he, kind of in his stupor and rage, is just madly swinging at you, and you are just deftly moving around this room, completely untouched by him at this point. It is your turn.
Okay, then we're just going to keep attacking him because that seems to be working. I roll a 25.
That's a hit.
With a 5 damage, and I'll roll a bonus of 25 again, and another 5.
God damn, these rolls.
I don't know what happened.
Crack. He is not looking good. You hit him towards his chest, an area where you didn't expect to do a ton of damage, but as he sort of reeled from that, you hit him down low. You just keep landing punches. He keeps missing on yours. He's furious, and he's going to take one more swing towards you. This time with just the tentacles, as he's kind of, lumbering there, swaying a bit. The tentacles, his arms stay at his side, but his tentacles lash out towards you. Does it? Ooh.
Yes.
So he crits with his tentacle attack. The tentacle sort of, swipes out and grabs you by your leg, doing 6 damage.
Okay.
And lifts you up into the air and tosses you about 10 feet away. And you land on the ground sort of on your back. We are back to the top of the order, and as you kind of look up from your recent toss, you can see that it looks like he is entirely knocked out, like he's looking down. There's purple, goop just pouring out of his mouth, out of his nose, continuing out of his eyes. But he's still standing there, motionless. But the tentacles seem to be the only things active.
How many tentacles does he have on him?
He has 2.
2. Okay. I would like to engage onto the tentacles.
Okay, so you want to strike specifically at the tentacles?
Strike specifically at the tentacles.
Roll it.
19 for
That's a hit.
8.
That's a hit.
I'd like to do the bonus attack against the other tentacle. And that's a 22 and 8.
Awesome. So you run up, now kind of realizing that maybe Darduke's dead, or defeated at least, but the tentacles seem to be still pretty active, and as you go to take a swing at them, they wrap around your wrist, both of them, kind of wrap around either one of your arms in an attempt to grapple you and maybe even toss you again. But you've seen this move before. You place your foot squarely on the chest of the husk of Darduke and pull, and with a very satisfying pop, both of these tentacles you rip them straight out, and they burst and dissolve in the air, and Darduke collapses onto the ground.
Okay. Is he defeated? Can I check him to make sure he's actually down and out?
He's super dead.
Okay.
Yeah, you check his vitals, and you realize he's no longer breathing. The purple slowly fades from his eyes.
Okay. Is there a vial nearby?
Like a glass vial?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, I would like to scoop some of the purple goop that was bleeding from him into the vial and seal it.
Okay, so you do that. You've now got some of this purple goop in this glass vial. What do you do?
I'm going to grab the amulet and I'm going to put it in my pocket as well. And then I'm going to head out and peek out into the hallway to see if anything's going on. So I'm going to stealth out of the hallway, stealth out onto the hallway if possible.
Okay. So as you are leaving, the dwarf Denon actually comes down the stairs, mace out, ready, looking for action, and he sees you and he goes, "Boy, did you defeat this man?"
I did.
Oh, vile stuff. And he goes over and down on one knee, kind of, picks up some of the purple goop in between his fingers and sort of rubs it around and goes, "We need to leave. Your master's dead. There's more undying pouring into the temple at every minute. We have to escape."
Okay. I would like to glance around the room and see if there's anything else useful for me to take with me, like perhaps a short sword or some like bags of gold that I can throw in my pocket.
So the treasury of the order is pretty expansive. All in all, you're kind of glancing around the room for a brief moment, and you can kind of eye about 250 gold just, in a convenient form for you to grab. You do know that in terms of like the other items in this area, nothing has the meaning or the value attached to the amulet. The other items are simple tools or pieces of gear that previous masters had that have kind of been kept as keepsakes. None of them particularly unremarkable. If there was something specific that you wanted to look for, you could take a brief look, but Denon sees that you're kind of perusing your order's stash here and says, "Listen, there's more and more pouring in by the minute. I am leaving. If you want to come with me, you must go now, but if you stay, you will surely die. There is greater horrors than this abomination awaiting for you on the other side of that door."
Okay, then let's just grab the 250 gold coins that were easy to and in reach, and let's leave with Denon.
All right, so you guys make it out, and it's you can still hear that there is fighting going on, but it's not the scene in which you left it. There are just dead bodies everywhere. Some more of the tentacles have kind of spawned on the walls and are, some are coming up from the floor, but you can kind of see this pathway of carnage that Denon sort of seemed to cut out towards the exit through the gardens, and he's motioning you away from the battle that seems to be going on behind you. This is sort of your last moment to take in anything at the temple. Is there anything you want to do before you go?
I want to see if I can see either Omar or Zag real quick.
There's no one out here.
Okay.
You don't a brief survey of the carnage. You don't see anything notable, but in your immediate vicinity, your search doesn't provide you with any information.
Okay, let's go ahead and leave.
All right, so you manage to escape with Denon, and he takes you to a ship that he has in the harbor. The ship is of a unique thing, even for you, someone who lives in a port town. It's long and it's black, a dark black wood, and it's just sort of this long, sleek ship. And he invites you on with him, and the two of you sort of sit down and catch your breath, and he explains to you the last moments of your master Aurelian. As you went to go and get the relic, he squared off against Master Belter for a second time, who seemed to be leading the attack. And much like Darduk had, Master Belter was infused with this purple energy and was able to overcome Aurelian. Denon didn't particularly mention how he managed to escape, but did leave you with this sort of last bit of advice. Says, boy, I know you will want to get vengeance for your master and for your people, but now is not the time. The Undying have tapped into something much older and much darker even than the city itself and your orders. It's a magic that should not be tainted, should not be used in any capacity. And me and my people, we seek to fight it and fight those who have it. So if you truly want to avenge your people, he hands you a sort of this note with a red sort of seal on it. It says, go and follow the instructions on this page and await for my messenger. We'll seek you out when the time is right. And he kind of goes and motions the letter towards you.
Okay. So I'll take the letter. I'll I guess I can say thank you very much. Right now there's nothing I'm more interested in or have ever been more interested in.
All right, and so you have escaped the attack on your temple. You are as far as you know, the remaining member of the Order of the Hun-He. Your master is dead, but you have a new sense of purpose and a new ally in this purpose. As you know, the boat that you and Denon share pulls away from the port. You can kind of see the smoldering ruins of your temple way off in the distance as it continues to burn. And Denon is going to take you a few towns up and leave you there. You are left with basic accommodations. He kind of connects you with the tavern keeper, but that is the end of your journey for now.
Awesome. Okay.
Woo!
Cool.